Welcome back to ABG Sundal Collier's pre-IPO seminar. My name is Olof Cederholm. I'm leading the industrial team at ABG Research in Stockholm. With me today, I have Anders Bergtoft with ChartChamps, and we're very excited to hear about your plans going forward, Anders. With that, I'll leave the word to you.
Thank you. You can go directly to the next slide, I think. So, my name is Anders Bergtoft, and I'm the CEO of ChartChamps. We just did a pre-IPO investment here like 2.5 months ago, and we raised 130 million SEK from Swedbank Robur, the equity funds Microcap and Ny Teknik. They also invested an additional 20 million SEK and acquired some shares from our existing shareholders. So that was very interesting for us. That makes it possible for us to basically do 3 things: to invest and further expand into our expanding ChartChamps in Europe, and we are now setting up our businesses in a number of different markets across Europe. So the Nordics, of course, UK, Germany, France, Spain, Benelux, etc. The second thing is, of course, to invest also in further R&D development. And we do that, of course, because there are different requirements in different markets as such. The third thing is then, of course, to prepare for the IPO that we have planned to take place in Q1 next year to make us ready and prepared for that IPO. If you go to the next slide, please. So what we do basically is that we develop smart and customized user-friendly charging solutions, and our products are sort of premium designed, and we target both B2C and B2B customers. Our business as such is quite asset light. It's a very scalable business model, and we focus mainly on hardware, and also we have future upsides now in software and services. We have an international expansion already ongoing. We have sold into 15 countries, and basically we have sold 55,000 charging points at this day. Basically it grows by 10% every month, you would say. Our forecast and plan for this year is to end up 250 million SEK in revenue, and our gross margin is basically 44%. Our 2 main revenue drivers is the charging stations, ChartChamps Halo and ChartChamps Aura. I will come back to them later on. And then, of course, we have a cloud-based platform that's where you control the charging stations from, or you can also use the app as such. If you look at our presence, as I said, we've been mainly now in Europe. We have also sold into Australia as one example, but we intend to grow this our market presence. So we don't sell direct, we sell through distributors, and the distributors, they sell to partners and retailers. In our way, it sort of scales so much better, but I will come back to that later on as well. If you go to the next slide, please. So if you look at our milestones, basically we started in 2012. Fredrik Jonsson, who is the founder of ChartChamps, he started out with making charging cables, and during the years we have launched a number of different cables and also charging stations, of course. We have also introduced new products, entered new markets, and if you look at the revenue take-up, you can see that last year we basically sold 104 million SEK, and we grew our business with 142% from 2019. So strong growth we have done during the last couple of years. I will come back also to the latest figures to give you some flavor of that. So next slide, please. If you look at our business, basically sustainability is part of our company DNA. All our products, of course, they contribute to the shift to fossil-free mobility. All our products are basically made out of durable, locally recycled aluminum, and also all the charging stations, they are designed and made in Sweden. And to the right, you can see the different sustainable development goals that we are, you could say, supporting with our business and our way of doing business as well. If you go to the next slide, please. So this market, it's a hot market, you could say. There is strong growth. And one of the reasons for that is, of course, that many European countries, they have committed to phasing out sales of internal combustion engines. So that's diesel or petrol, of course, and pave the way for EV charging. And regardless of what country, I mean, Norway, they have decided that should happen already in 2025. And if you look here in Sweden, it's 2030, and you can go to, let's say, France or Spain, then it's 2040. I think it will actually go faster, simply because all the car manufacturers, they are already now launching new cars, and they are also dropping, for instance, Audi have said that they are dropping their research into internal combustion engines. So I think regardless if you as a country have said 2040 or 2025, I think it will go much faster than 2040. One other thing is also, of course, in each of the markets and regions, then there are subsidies that are super important. So if you look in Sweden, there is a grön teknikavdrag, similar to a Swedish RUT and ROT-avdrag. So you get basically 50% off on the installation and also the hardware. If you go to Germany, then there is 900 euro that you get back. So that is also a very interesting and important factor for driving the business here in Europe. If you go to the next slide, please. If you look at the market here in the Nordics, it's been really strong adaptation of EV cars. So Norway, of course, is ahead. If you look at the December figures, 87% of all the cars sold in Norway, those were cars that either were pure EV cars or hybrid cars. In Sweden, the same figure was 50%. I saw now in April, I think it was 43 or 46% in Sweden, so it's roughly the same. If you look at the other parts of Europe, it's a little bit less, but of course the volumes are so much higher if you go to Germany or the UK or some other market. So this strong growth is super important. And even though this growth will continue for many years, if you look on the right there is a graph, and by 2025, it's still going to be very few cars that will actually be electric cars if you look compared to the total. It should say 5.2%, but it seems like it has disappeared on this slide here. There are other things, of course, that are also important that drives these market drivers. It can be the Paris Agreement. It can be the 90% reduction of greenhouse gases, etc. So many things are supporting this quick adoption. Next slide, please. Also, of course, there are a lot of things happening in the market right now. Many car manufacturers, they are investing a lot of money into EV cars, changing the whole industry. Everyone is doing that. Before it was only Tesla, but now you can see all the car manufacturers are doing the same thing. Cheaper batteries is also something that is super important. That's a key driver for, of course, creating some price parity between an EV car and an ICE car, and that will also come fairly soon. So batteries coming cheaper means that the EV cars become more affordable. One thing that is important, of course, is the demand for chargers, basically. And that is very strong in Europe and in many other places. And basically, we say that more than 80% of all the charging that will take place at home or in the office, that's where the charging will be the cheapest, so to say. And that's where we make our chargers for. We don't make the fast chargers that you have along the highways. It's a much smaller market, and that's not where we play. So we play in the AC market, where you have charging at home, at offices, parking garages, etc. Next slide, please. If you look at our business, basically it's the hardware that drives the rapid growth. So both selling charging stations and cables and load balancing functionality, But then, of course, it's the software and the services that also make an interesting future possibility for us for creating recurring revenue streams. That is something that we're aiming for, but it is the hardware really that drives the growth as it is right now. Next slide, please. If you look at our products, they are sort of premium products, and they are designed, beautifully designed by Joakim Nordvall, our lead designer. He has previously worked with Koenigsegg, designing their cars. So if you look at the products as such, they're all sort of made out of recycled aluminum. We have very high IP ratings. You could say they're made for the Nordic climate. But also our cables, they are often also special simply because even though it's cold here in Sweden, they need to work even though it's in the middle of the winter, so to say, without being very stiff or very hard. All R&D and production are also made here in Sweden. We try to make really user-friendly, beautiful products that also sort of cater for safe and secure charging. If you go to the next slide, please. If you look at our products, they are tailored both for B2B and B2C customers. We have a leading TCO with our products. Since they are also made out of aluminum, they will last you roughly 15 years without any problem. Our two hero products are the Charge Amps Halo and the Charge Amps Aura. The Halo is our number one seller. It comes in 3 different versions. 3.7, 7.5, and 11 kilowatts. It has a fixed cable, which is really nice. So it's very easy to charge your car. You don't need to take out your cable and connect it every time, as one example. It also has Wi-Fi, RFID, Ethernet LAN connection. We also have a Shuko connection underneath, so that you can connect either, let's say, an e-bike or your vacuum cleaner when you're cleaning your car. And that version is also available in an OEM version. For instance, we have done that together with Vattenfall. I will come back to that. The Charge Amps Aura, it's a top line really product. It can actually charge 2 cars at the same time, 2 times 22 kilowatts. It has also load balancing between the different sockets, but of course it can also have load balancing between many other charging stations. It also has Wi-Fi, RFID, 4G, Ethernet, LAN, etc. It's also ready for vehicle to grid. We also have a third model in our range that will come out later. It will be launched, you could say, later this year, and revenue will come from that one starting in Q1 2022. It will be a game-changing product that we are really looking forward to launching. And then we have load balancing functionality from our Amp Guard product, and then we have a number of really unique charging cables as well. Thank you. Next slide. If we look at our cloud platform, then basically you could say it has 4 administrative layers. So depending if you're an end user or if you are a administrator in a bostadsrättsförening or housing community or so, or if you are the installer or our own supporting organizations, you can have access and see different things of the installation, and you can manage and control both the data and also the charging and all the information that you have there. We also have over-the-air updates with new software out to the different charging stations, and the whole cloud platform is also available in the white label version as well. And in the platform, of course, you can handle both billing, you can monitor the charging, you can create automatic reports, etc. You can also connect our platform to different payment solutions so that you can pay with credit cards, Easy Park, Swish, or whatever. And you also have some other enterprise integrations in the pipeline. On the bottom there, we have the load balancing, and that's super important. We have the highest level of dynamic load balancing, so you can easily share the available electricity that you have without the fuses popping, so to say. And you can do that across the total installation that you have and all the cars that you have there as well. So that is an important function as well. If you go to the next slide, please. We don't sell direct, as I said there in the beginning. I think that's a very important thing. We try to piggyback on the existing distribution channel that is out there. So we sell through different distributors. So if you look at Sweden as one example, these products they need to be installed by an electrician. So the electrical wholesalers, that's the biggest segment that we are targeting. So we basically have a distribution agreement with all the large electrical wholesalers. So all the electricians can come to Ahlsell, Elektroskandia, Elkedjan, Rexel, and so on to get their products before they start installing. If you want to buy a new car, then of course you might go to Volvo or some other place. Then we have a distributor called KGK, and they of course sell into all the car dealer segments. We have for the retail channel, of course, we have for solar panels, and we have the charge point operators. I think you might have listened to our one of our customers, eWays, earlier today, and they of course they buy through our different electrical wholesalers. And then of course we sell a little actually direct to things like Vattenfall, but that's more an OEM business as such. If you go to the next slide, so our production, as I said, everything is based here in Sweden, and we have outsourced our production to two different contract manufacturers. One is called Note, the other one is called Orbit One. Note basically does most of our products, and they are produced in Norrtälje and in Torsby in Värmland, and Orbit One, then it's in Huddinge. And with Note, we can easily expand into new markets if we would like to make our products also outside of Sweden. So Note, they have production facilities in China, in the UK, in the Baltics, in Finland as one example. So there is no really limits in our production capacity as such. So we really try to piggyback on the contract manufacturers to be able to scale as quickly as possible. If we go to the next slide, then the money that we have taken in previously, those are, as I said, will be used for basically three things. One is the international expansion, and we are now starting up both subsidiaries, hiring people, signing up distributors, etc., across some selected markets in Europe. And also the portfolio development. There we are spending money also on our new products and also enhancing the existing ones that we have. And then for operational excellence, we have already now done the first IPO readiness study with PwC. So we are just now kickstarting the project for becoming ready for being IPO ready, you could say. And we have decided that should happen in Q1 next year. Then we have the full year result, and we have also proven that we delivered 250 million SEK. If you go to the next slide, then here is sort of where we are. It's some old figures here as well, actually. But if you look on the right-hand side, it says 104 million SEK. That's what we sold in 2020. In Q1, we actually sold 50 million. And that was basically what we sold. It took us 3 months this year to sell 50 million. But last year, it took us 9 months to sell the same figure. So I'm betting that by the end of June here, I think we will have sold as much as we sold for the full year last year. And 250, that's the target for this year. And I feel comfortable that we are tracking in the right direction. So strong momentum. And also now we have signed up a number of distributors in Germany, and we see that we have good traction. They like our quality and they like our products in a good way. Next slide, please. Yeah, and I think the thing here is basically in the bottom, of course, that as our sales increase, of course, then the gross margin will improve somewhat, and the OPEX over sales will also come down as well. You could say that we have been profitable since October last year until we actually took in the money. This year is going to be a year of investment, but we have a very good margin as well if you compare to other competitors that are actually listed on the stock market today. Then I think we have the last slide there. Yes, so what we're looking into now is also how to see how we can increase our revenues from different type of value-added services. So we basically said that we will try to get 5% of our revenue from these type of services this year. So that will come from service and support, different type of SLA agreements, could be managed services opportunities, payment solutions, of course, and extended warranty, and then also from some transactional fees and other things. But that is something that we are looking at right now, how we should do that in the best possible way. I think I stop there, and my 20 minutes are out. And I want you, of course, to keep Charge Amps on your radar screen for next year's IPO. And here are some 5 different statements that I think make sense why you should think about Charge Amps and possibly invest in Charge Amps as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Anders. Very interesting. I have a couple of questions. We have a couple of minutes. So looking at the geographical expansion, is there a difference in terms of the competitive dynamics of these markets, or can you sort of use one blueprint to enter all of them, or do you have to adjust?
We have to adjust a little bit. I think if you look at the distribution, then let's take in Sweden they're called Elektroskandia. They're part of the Sonepar group. And Sonepar, as well as Rexel, they are in all markets, but they basically drive each market on their own. So it's not that you can have a pan-European agreement. So you need to sign up those agreements in each market. So that's sort of, it's just the footwork that needs to be done there. If you look at the market requirements, there are differences between, for instance, Germany and Holland and Sweden. So we need to do some tweaks also to our products to be able to sell them to all segments in these markets. But I think Germany seems to love our products. So what we do basically is we send our products to our distributors, and then when they open the box and they see the product, then they really like them because they see that it's really high quality. And that has proven the way to go to market for us in Germany, at least. Now, when it's COVID, it's kind of hard to travel. But we also have some local guys now on the ground there. So you need to adapt to each market. So that's basically it. But the socket is there, the product is there. It can be software tweaks and new functionality that you need to add, or something that needs to be connected to the cloud platform to be able to handle different local charging or payment solutions and stuff like that.
Yeah, and when you go to these new markets, I assume there are incumbents there that have also started to move and maybe grab some market share. What is the key driver, do you think, for your product to take on and win in the marketplace in the new markets?
So I think, the Nordics, we are ahead of sort of EV charging take-up, you could say. So in that sense, we are a little bit ahead. But of course, the markets in Europe is so much bigger than in Sweden or Norway. And there are many competitors in each local market as well. But many of them, they don't look so nice. They are made out of plastic. So there are many smaller competitors. There are not so many large ones that are really dominant or so. So I think it's up for grabs. If we look at our other Nordic competitors, they are basically doing the same thing as us, trying to get out there and get some market share. I think what we see is that we are growing faster than the others, and we see that the customers love our products. So I'm comfortable with going into these new markets. And then, of course, at some time you can also go outside of Europe, but now our focus is here in Europe, and the market will be very big. I mean, if you compare Sweden to Germany, for instance, I mean, I think April was like 9,500 cars sold in Sweden that had a possibility to be charged. If you go to Germany, it was 50,000. So it is a big difference there. But of course we will meet local competition. But it's like I come from the telecom industry, and if you compare Nokia, Sony Ericsson, Apple, Samsung, etc., there might be, before it was a lot of different players, but you have some kind of consolidation, and then in the end you will have a few players there, and then of course design and functionality, that is super important. If you have a nice house that you have paid lots of money for and you're proud of and you like to live in, then of course you should have a nice charging station on the wall there, and not only just a black one in plastic.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Anders. In the interest of time, we will have to end here, but thank you so much for taking part of this. It was very interesting, and we're really looking forward to following Charge Amps going forward. Thank you.
Thank you.